What's up, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here, and I'm doing a little bit of a different video than what I usually do. A while back, actually it was last year, June or July of 2013, I did the 30 Days of X-Men, and that was 30 videos that I did spread out across a month, focusing mostly on the X-Men Evolution cartoon. Well, I found something similar to that. It was 20 Days of Gravity Falls, and since this isn't going to fill up an entire month, I thought I would just do it all in one video, since most of these answers are pretty short anyway. So this is going to be the 20 Days of Gravity Falls all in one day in one video for you guys. And if you don't know what Gravity Falls is, I reviewed season 1 a while back. You should just go watch this series in whatever way you can. Go find the DVDs. I don't know if they still have, if they even have DVDs out there. Watch this show. It's awesome. And I will be spoiling stuff here. There are some spoilery questions. What is your favorite character? For me, I would say it's either Wendy or Grunkle Stan. I would say Grunkle Stan is my favorite serious character. Grunkle Stan is pretty goofy and silly about 99.9% of the time, but then there's that very brief, like 0.1% of the time where he's doing something a little bit shady, and I'm very interested in that. Now, we may find out at the end of Season 2 or the beginning of Season 3 or whatever that he's been doing stuff that makes me like him a lot less. But for now, he's my favorite, or Wendy. I like Wendy just because she's the most likable character out of all of them. Soos is kind of a non-character. I like him. He says funny things, but he hasn't had enough development yet for me to make a definitive answer about him. And Dipper and Mabel, I know they are the focus of this series, but far too often one or both of them are doing things that just make me not like them very much. And so for me, it's either going to be Wendy or Grunkle Stan. Least favorite character, for me, it's Mabel. I know she's supposed to be charming and cutesy and adorable and lovable and all of that stuff, but far too often, she is doing things that just makes me not like her. Like little things sometimes, and then sometimes it's really huge things. I'm trying to think of a really good example, like in the Carpet Diem. I really couldn't stand Mabel in that episode. Everything about Dipper and Mabel's little spat in that episode made me not really like either of them, but I found myself coming down more on Dipper's side in that episode than I did Mabel. And there's been an episode in Season 2, Sock Opera, that really illustrated that most of the time, in fact, almost all of the time, Mabel is kind of selfish, and she doesn't really care about what Dipper wants. And Sock Opera was like one of the only times where she sacrificed something of her own in order to help Dipper. And that was probably one of the only times that I actually really liked Mabel. I would say for me, Mabel's my least favorite character, but Dipper is a close second, because sometimes his obsession with finding the mysteries of Gravity Falls kind of makes me not like him either. Favorite monster or creature? I had to think a little bit on this one, but I'm going to go with the Grimogoblin, simply because just about everything that had the Grimogoblin in that episode, I think it was Boss Mabel was the name of the episode, just about everything the Grimogoblin did made me laugh hysterically. Like, I still laugh when I think of the the Singing Salmon. The Singing Salmon bit, and then the thing where he looks in the mirror and he sees what he fears most. Those things were hilarious. The funniest things with that creature, and some of the funniest bits in Season 1. Just those two things with the Grimogoblin. So I'm definitely going to go with that. Also, because a lot of the other creatures, they don't have humor. Like the zombies in Season 2, there wasn't really anything funny with them. Or the Gobblewonker, there wasn't really anything funny with the Gobblewonker. So for me, it's the Grimogoblin. Favorite fan theory? Mine is the theory that Grunkle Stan has a twin, which at this point, I think that there's just enough clues in the series that is the thing that I am going to be extremely surprised if Grunkle Stan does not have a twin who is lost in time and space or something like that. If we find out he does not have a twin, I will be extremely surprised about that. But as of now, it hasn't been confirmed, so I'm still counting it as a fan theory. Favorite AU? I don't know what that even means. I don't know if I mentioned that. I found all of these on Tumblr, and I have a feeling the really regular people on Tumblr probably know what AU means. For me, AU means alternate reality, and I looked around a little bit, and that was what it meant on a few other things that I Googled around trying to find what that means. And with Gravity Falls, unless you're talking about fan fiction or something, which I don't read fan fiction, then there aren't a whole lot of alternate realities. Mainly, the only one I can think of is in The Time Traveler's Pig, where we see the dark reality where Mabel never got Waddles. So I guess I'm going to go with that as my favorite alternate reality. Favorite outfit or sweater? I would say Stan's swimsuit in The Deep End. That was, it looked like sort of a prison outfit or a swimsuit that you would see in like the year 1900. It looked extremely old and outdated, and that is just perfect for Stan, who we don't even know how old he is, but he's probably like late 60s probably, and so he wouldn't have been around in the early 1900s, but that outfit is still, it suits him perfectly. And scariest monster, I would say the shape-shifting creature in Into the Bunker, which was an early episode in season 2, like episode 2 of season 2, I think. That was probably the scariest monster, and I mean, there's some legitimately kind of scary moments in that. If you think, oh, this is just a cutesy little cartoon, and that was the first episode you watched, you'd be like, woo, that's really terrifying. And so there's some scary moments with that thing. I don't even remember what it's called. I think it's just the shape-shifting monster. Favorite moment? For me, the entire series so far of what we've seen, and I should also mention, as of recording this, there's at least one episode of Gravity Falls Season 2 that I have not watched, maybe 2. I'm a little bit behind, but I have a feeling most of my answers probably would still be the same if I was caught up. Favorite moment that I've seen so far is the Pines family singing karaoke in the episode Scarioke. That is hands down my favorite moment, partly because it's just a really catchy tune that they're singing, but also it fundamentally establishes the premise and the core dynamic of this show. It shows that when the Pines family is working together, they are invincible, and there's nothing that can stop them. But as we've seen in Season 1, and as we continue to see in Season 2, they all have different goals and objectives. They all have different things that they're working towards, and so they're not really working together, despite working together in that one episode. And so I have a feeling we are going to see that they're not going to stand as strong separated as they would united. And so that's why I really like them singing karaoke together in Scarioke. A favorite minor/background character. This was another hard one because some of the minor characters get some of the best moments, even if they don't even have lines or anything like that. But for me, Tyler, who is the get 'em guy, wearing the weird denim short shorts, that's extremely bizarre, but he is one of my favorite minor characters just because he'll show up at the moment when you least expect it. He will show up, and he may not even be doing the get 'em thing, but whenever he shows up, it's usually good for a good laugh. Place I would like to go. There's not a whole lot of places in Gravity Falls that I would like to go. Sometimes they're like really scary places, like I wouldn't want to go underground where you're going to see a lot of dinosaurs coming out of amber. I definitely wouldn't want to see that, or things like that. So for me, I just put the Greasy Diner, or Greasy's Diner. It's where Lazy Susan works, and that seems to be the least dangerous place in Gravity Falls, and also you could get some pretty good-looking pancakes there. Favorite teenager. This was hard. I wanted to go with 2 characters. For my more serious favorite teenager, I went with Robbie. Robbie was a character who you're supposed to hate him all throughout Season 1, and then close to the end of Season 1 when he and Wendy break up, I started to be a lot more interested in him, mostly because I'm still not sure where he got that CD, and again, if you've never seen this series, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but if you have seen the series, I still don't know if he got that CD from someone else or if he made that CD. And if he made that CD, then I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of interesting stuff going on with Robbie in Season 2. But so far, I don't think we've seen him at all. We've seen him like in the background of Season 2, but I'm really looking forward to seeing more with him. And for my more silly answer to this, I put Thompson, just because, kind of like Tyler, anytime he shows up, it's usually good for a laugh. He has some really funny moments in the few times that we have seen him. And then favorite song, Taking Over Midnight, which again, that goes back to my favorite moment in the entire series. That's the song that the Pines family was singing in Scarioke. Guest star that I would like to see. This was really hard because I can't think of a lot of celebrities that I would want to see come onto this show. We've had some really interesting celebrities, like Coolio voiced himself, Larry King voiced himself, not Ron Swanson, Nick Offerman voiced a federal agent in Season 2. So those are a lot of like big-name celebrities, but I couldn't really think of a big-name celeb that I wanted to see in this show, so I went with Ariel Hirsch, who is the twin sister of Alex Hirsch. And if you do a little bit of research, you'll find out that Gravity Falls is at least somewhat based on their actual life, because Alex and Ariel, of course, are both twins, and Their personalities kind of sort of match up with Dipper and Mabel, and also they had a very eccentric grandpa when they were younger that they spent a little bit of time with, who kind of matches up with Grunkle Stan. So I would love to see Ariel Hirsch do a voice of someone in this series, because if you do watch this show, you may or may not know this, but Alex Hirsch actually voices Grunkle Stan. So I think it'd be really fun, maybe, to see Ariel Hirsch voice his ex-wife or something like that. I don't know. I think it'd be really fun to see her voice somebody, though. Creature I would like to see. I couldn't really think of a lot of creatures that haven't shown up in this world, and the more episodes that we get, the fewer choices for creatures that haven't shown up that we have. So I was thinking the only ones that we haven't seen that I'm aware of would be like a Medusa type character or a Gorgon. I'm certain there's a lot of other types of creatures out there that we haven't seen yet, but those were the two that I went with. So a Gorgon type creature. Favorite relationship. Oh boy. I didn't even put a romance down, because usually that sort of thing doesn't really work for me. Mabel hasn't had a romance that's lasted very long. Even Dipper, he's kind of had this failed crush with Wendy ever since the beginning, and even that didn't work out for him. So for me, my favorite relationship, it doesn't have to be a romance, is Dipper and Grunkle Stan. In the episode, I don't remember what it is. It's not, I think it's Headhunters maybe? It's toward the end of season 1 when they go into Grunkle Stan's mind, and we find out just what makes Grunkle Stan tick and why he treats Dipper the way he treats Dipper, and I really love that moment, and I really love the bond that those two characters have. So that's that's what I'm going with for favorite relationship. Favorite TV program. There's a whole lot of them that they watch that are just completely bonkers insane, like Tiger Fist or baby fighting, stuff like that. I went with one, it's actually a movie that Grunkle Stan was watching, but The Duchess Approves was probably the funniest thing that I've seen these characters watching. Outside of that, I really couldn't think, Duck Detective is one that's kind of funny, but for me, I think The Duchess Approves is a lot funnier than any of the TV shows that they've been watching whenever we see them watching TV. Favorite antagonist would be Bill the Cipher. And again, if you've been watching the show but you haven't finished season 1 and you don't necessarily know who Bill is yet, that's a very crazy, very out there character. And even about 5 or 6 episodes into season 2, I still don't know if we can get a good read on him. We have a pretty good idea what he's about, but I still think there's more that we're going to find out about him. So that's my favorite antagonist for the series. Memorable quote. The I'm the singing salmon spinning all day jammin'. Again, that's concerning the Grimo Goblin, and that quote never ceases to make me laugh. I always laugh when I hear it and see it on YouTube and stuff. I must have gone back and watched that 15, 20 times. It never stops being funny. Or also, there's another one that I wrote down here, kind of a secondary one. It's a recent episode, Seuss and the Real Girl, when Seuss's abuela says that, let's see, she needs to see Seuss get with a girl before, or like get a girlfriend before she dies and goes to heaven. Seuss says something like, and Grandpa will be there, right? And she just pauses and says, no, he's not there. And for a Disney cartoon, that is so incredibly out there. I cannot believe that Disney let them do that. I'm almost certain that the Disney standards and practices people didn't even watch that episode. Otherwise, I'm fairly certain that quote would not have stayed in the episode. But that one was hysterical. I probably laughed for about 5 minutes after hearing that. Favorite episode? Again, Scarioki, because it illustrates that the Pines family, when they're working alone, they can be pretty good, but when they're working together, that's when they are amazing, and that's when they are unbeatable. And I think this season, and maybe this series, is going to end with them all finally working together for good, and that's when they're going to overcome whatever it is that they need to overcome. And the last question, why do you love Gravity Falls? And for me, it's just that this is a kids show. It's aimed at kids, but, and this is going to sound cliche because everyone says that about a lot of shows, but it's a show that adults can watch also. I'm 25 years old, and I love this show. This is my favorite cartoon on TV, and it's got an awesome story. It's got a lot of mysteries that, I mean, like, adults are, like, skewering this show, trying to find all these little clues for mysteries that may come up later in the series. That is incredible. You never see that even with live-action shows. The last time that I saw anything like this would be for the series Lost, which ended about 4 or 5 years ago. So, like, story, humor, the mysteries, the intrigue, the characters. I like most of the characters in the show. Even when I don't like Dipper and Mabel, it's not that they're just like so awful that I can't stand to see them on screen. It's just that they're my least favorite characters. that's why I watch this show. And if you don't watch this show, hopefully, if you stuck around to the end of this video, you will watch this show now. So that's all I have to say about Gravity Falls and my 20 days of Gravity Falls, all condensed into one video. So tomorrow I'll go back to be doing something more standard in my videos, a more normal review. And so I will see you guys then. Have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.